Hello, my name is Caiden and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I made this video I think about a year ago now, and I feel like it was a good time to update it, I suppose, because it's kind of old. The quality's not that good, and I feel like I can do a better job of explaining how I came to term with my gender identity. Don't know who I am, you've never seen my face before. Caiden, I'm 17 years old and I identify as non-binary. Non-binary can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. For me, I just don't feel comfortable identifying in a gender binary, that being male and female. I like gender neutral like adjectives when describing me, because I don't like being called queen, king, cis, you know, stuff like that is gendered basically. That's the type of stuff that like kind of throws me off guard. And obviously I don't like being called this boy, this girl, like for me, I just like being seen as a person rather than just like a boy or a girl, you know? It took me a long time to get to this point. I had a long journey ahead of me. It took me years to figure this out. So when someone comes to me and is like, help me with my gender identity, I don't know what's happening, my first thing that comes to my mind is that, like, take your time, because it really takes a long time to kind of figure this kind of stuff out. So I'm going to tell you my story in this video to kind of maybe put that more into perspective and like help you guys out if you have like a similar experience to mine. I think of what made me feel like I am trans. It literally started around puberty, like 12, 13 for me. Because before puberty, I like, what are you worrying about? You're kind of just like in elementary school, just chilling, you know, learning multiplication, and stressing over those time tests. You don't really think about that kind of stuff. And puberty hits and like your body obviously is undergoing changes. For my case, changes I didn't want. And around that time, I obviously was like, this is normal. I didn't say anything about it. Obviously everyone's uncomfortable because it changes. But what I didn't know is that the changes that I was experiencing and the way I viewed them was a lot different than other people my age. You're kind of put into like a group with like girls or boys, and I was just like, what happened to just like co-ed, everyone's just chilling type beat? And it's just like very uncomfortable for a non-binary person. Of course I didn't know that at the time, but I was just like, I just want to be with everyone. Why can't we just like all be together and stuff like that? So around the age of like 14, I think it was around 14, I was like introduced to social media. I got like my first phone at like 14, 13, around that time. I finally could like download apps and be like, all right guys, Instagram, Facebook, Musical.ly. I was introduced to the whole trans community, and I was like, because before then I didn't know it existed. I was like, people can change that? Like, you're not that's a thing? And I was just like absolutely mind blown. And on Musical.ly I saw trans guys, and I was like listening, like watching their content and being like, oh, dysphoria and like stuff like that. And it kind of like clicked into my mind, like, I might be trans. Once again, didn't really say anything about it, kind of just was just like a battle going on in my mind. I didn't really talk to my parents or anything about it. So then, I know this is gonna be very cringy, I started going by the name Keith, which is not me at all. When picking a name, it's kind of difficult because I wanted to still kind of keep that part of myself a little bit and identify with that like maybe until I was like 15. But when I started identifying as just a guy, I was like, I feel like part of me I kind of left behind, like the feminine side of me, like always wanting to do makeup and like chilling. And obviously I had that like mindset that holy shit, I need to pass, which also kind of just made me feel bummed out because I felt like I was missing a part of myself during that. And I was just like, okay, what is wrong, dude? Like like you're being so difficult right now. And that's when I started just like diving more into the non-binary, so I kind of identified as gender fluid, not really even knowing what it meant. I kind of just felt like maybe I switch, and I was like, no, you don't switch, you don't. But at the time I was just trying labels out and pronouns, because then I went by he, they, and I was like, okay, this feels a little bit better, I don't feel as constrained. And then finally I was like, oh, non-binary, and I was like, that was around like the end of 15. I realized, I was like, oh, non-binary, I can just like chill. And then I started going by they, them pronoun. Everything started settling down a little bit more for me. I was like, oh, this feels a lot more like me. And I kind of like had that mindset. I was like, if I wear a crop top, if I put on false lashes, if I like wear something that's a little form-fitting, I am like, I'm faking it. I'm doing this for attention. And like, obviously that's not the truth. Like, clothing is clothing, and what the fuck is a false eyelash? Like, it's literally something you glue onto your face and then you take off. Like, it's not there forever. So I finally started identifying as non-binary and kind of just like doing my own thing. And I didn't really have that much pressure to pass as like androgynous all the time. That didn't kind of hit until a little bit later. But I've kind of just been doing my own thing since then. I'm just kind of chilling, wearing what I want to wear. Obviously, I do like presenting androgynous most of the time, but I do have my days where I'm just like a little more feminine, a little more masculine presenting. But honestly, like, there's no way to look non-binary. I get so many questions like, how do I pass as a non-binary person? I was like, and I'm normally just like, there really isn't. Like, you're just supposed to do what you want. Obviously, people that aren't non-binary and aren't really educated about what it is to be non-binary are always like, oh, so you just need to look androgynous. I mean, yeah, some people do that, but not everybody does. There's no really other way I could describe it other than just like, wear what you want. Clothes don't have gender. Makeup doesn't have gender. If a fucking cis guy can do makeup and still be called a dude, then so can you. Whether you be non-binary or a trans guy. Because I feel like there is a part of that trans community that is just really toxic, and I just didn't want to associate myself with, because there's so many people that like to gatekeep the community, especially with non-binary people as well. It's just like, can we just chill? Another question I'm asked a lot is how I figured out my sexuality. My sexuality was fucking worlds easier to understand than my gender. It didn't take, I don't know, years to figure out, because I've always known that I'm like, ooh, girls are attractive, you know? Like, that wasn't ever an issue for me, and I never kind of had to come out when it comes to that kind of stuff, because my mom doesn't care. I would just be like, hey mom, that girl's cute, and she'd be like, okay. Like, it was kind of a little difficult to figure out a label for it, because labels freaking suck, and if you haven't realized, I really don't like labels, and I really don't like labeling myself. I just use the most vague label and just like call that a day, you know? So like, same with like non-binary, like there's a ton of like in-depth labels for that kind of stuff, but I'm just like, non-binary, take it or leave it. With my sexuality, I was like, okay, bi, pan. And then I was just like, fuck this shit, it sucks. Because I had this one relationship that kind of made me feel like I only liked girls, but then I kind of like don't only like girls. It was a train wreck, so now I just identify as queer, and I just say that I like who I like, and who cares? I'm just like girls because I've been dating a boy for like almost 9 months. Of course, with being openly out on the internet, people always ask me like what my dysphoria is like and what that feels like for me. My dysphoria is not really as extreme as other trans people, I guess. I feel like when you think of dysphoria, most people just think of like invisible pain, just wanting to like die all the time. I sound congested. Do I sound congested? But with my dysphoria, it definitely does fluctuate, like, a lot. Most days I'm kind of just, like, chill. Like, today I'm fine. Like, I'm wearing my binder and whatever, but I'm, like, chill. But I do get, like, have my couple of days or even maybe, like, a week or so where I'm just, like, dying. Like, the only things that kind of get me the most when it comes to my dysphoria is like my chest. And if I'm having like extreme dysphoria, then it does like go around to like my hip area, because I do have a very feminine figure, sadly. It's not ideal for me, but I guess I can't really do anything. I can't like change my body shape like as drastically as I would want to. But most of the time it's just me kind of being like slightly uncomfortable about like my chest and like wanting top surgery, and then also wanting to go on testosterone to kind of get a little bit of that like fat distribution, to kind of like, I want to look like a noodle, kind of tone down my feminine figure, and also of course to like lower my voice. I have trained it to be lower, but it is pretty inconsistent, because I do have my moments where I get super excited and then it goes back to like my more high-pitched voice, and I'm like, and then I hear it, I'm just like, ugh. But it's just like those small things. And my mom did send me like a post that she saw on Facebook, because you know she's a mom, about the hospital that we go to. We didn't know that it had like a gender clinic in it. We're gonna try to get testosterone through there and stuff, but we had to see if like insurance covers and stuff like that. So hopefully in the next year or so I'll be on T. Another question that involves dysphoria is, people are like, how do I get through it? And let me tell you, my coping mechanisms are not good. I feel like when you get in a very dysphoric mindset, you're kind of just like, you want to go to the extremes to like fix what you want. I won't get it, because sometimes there are triggering topics. But when it comes to like general dysphoria, when I'm not like on the verge of actual death, I do have hoodies, also known as dysphoria hoodies. They're just massive, big sweaters that I'll just put on to hide my body. And like mirrors, avoid them. Just don't look at your body, you're fine. Like voice dysphoria, I kind of do try to like tone it down and try to go as low as I can, like, ooh. But when it comes to things like that, you just kind of have to like do what you can in the moment until you can like medically transition, if that's something like you want to do. I feel like I need a better segue than like another question I get asked, like, okay, whatever. I got it. People also always ask like, how do you pick a name? Picking out a name is actual hell. I didn't even pick my own name. I was just recommended to me, and it clicked, and I was like, cool. But honestly, you could literally just Google like androgynous name or masculine names and like just like look through it. Or ask your friends like, hey, I'm looking for a better name that isn't like my dead name. You guys got any suggestions? And like just kind of use ones that you like. Don't feel bad about wanting to change it, because it's kind of hard to like get it right the first time. Like it's the same thing with like labels and gender identity, because obviously I still don't identify as a trans guy. It's like changed over time. Same with names. Like that, they will change over time, and you'll like slowly figure yourself out. And don't beat yourself up for like that kind of stuff and be like, oh, I was faking it the whole time. You weren't. You were just taking time to like figure yourself out. The thing I struggled with most in my journey was more kind of just like accepting that like the toxic part of the trans community doesn't have to like police and like gatekeep my entire existence. Because with that toxic thing of like, you have to pass all the time, and kind of just try like that entire like mindset, and like you need dysphoria to be trans, you need to be dying every like second of every day, otherwise you're faking it, and like changing your labels is wrong, stuff like that is just like not healthy for you. And I know that there's a lot of like big influencers that will like teach people that, and it's just kind of like not good. It's toxic, and that like clothing is clothing. It's literally a piece of fabric. Why does that determine your worth? Like same with like a trans guy wearing makeup. You'll just see like, well, if you were actually trans, you would want to like pass all the time, and you would not wear makeup because it would make you uncomfortable. Like stuff like that kind of like policed my entire existence, and I felt like I was pressured into being something that I was not, just because simply someone else had a different experience than me. Like my experience with gender is a lot different than someone else's experience with gender, and yours will be the same. you kind of just need to play around with what you're comfortable with, and if someone doesn't agree with it because it doesn't match their journey, like who cares? You guys are different people. You like different things. You're comfortable with the things. Like, your experience is not gonna like 100% match someone else's experience, and it took me a long time to kind of like figure that out and piece it together and like feel comfortable within my gender identity, knowing that like I don't need to be validated by other people's opinions of me. So that's just kind of a couple things I feel like I needed to touch on, and I feel like I needed to refilm this video, just kind of like make it a little more digestible, because I've obviously feel like I've gotten a little better at making YouTube videos than my last one a year ago. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped a little. I know that I'm not like amazing at explaining this kind of stuff, but I do try my best. I know I haven't been filming a lot of YouTube videos. My schedule kind of is just like one video a month lately, and it kind of has been for a while. But I do have a lot of free time, and I know that I say that all the time, but I just kind of need more ideas for videos and kind of stuff you guys want to see. Because I know like YouTube is about making what I want to do, but I really don't have any idea, and I kind of like touched on a lot of things that I want to do, and I kind of just want to experiment, so just kind of let me know what you want to see from me. Other than that, subscribe to me if you want to see more monthly videos, or like the video if you found it helpful, dislike it if you hate me, comment it if you have anything you want to say, or if you have any video suggestions, and other than that, goodbye.